You're waiting with bated breath. You're tired of the wait. I am as well. Let's get right to it. The top 25 programs in college football 2023 right here at the Voice of College Football. If you enjoy the content, even if you don't agree with me, support. You do that by liking the videos, sharing the videos out on social media. Just flat out let people know we are here every freaking day talking college football. And we've got 16 other channels that are going on all the time covering college football, so please lock it in. All right, this is the place to be as we go through the summer and get you set for the 2023 season, including these program rankings. Let's not confuse these with all-time rankings. They will come out here at the Voice of College Football in the next 4 to 6 weeks, but we want to make a clear separation between 2023 program rankings, not team rankings. I am not making a prediction of the top 25 teams or the 1 through 133 rankings for college football teams in 2023. Program rankings. That means recruiting counts. The head coach counts. Who's leading the program? It counts in regards to your image, your brand, your tradition, your popularity, your fan base. All of that put together. What conference you affiliate with. All of it matters. Let's get right to it. Check out the other previous videos because we have not stopped our program rankings at a top 25 like others have. It's a 1 through 133 right here at the Voice of College Football. At number 25, we go to Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State football program. And many programs across the country are coached by an individual who's not necessarily in charge of that program, meaning he's been around for a year, 2 years, 3 years. We don't know if he's going to continue there. But this is certainly not just the Oklahoma State football program. This is Mike Gundy's program, for better or worse. This has traditionally been a bad football program. Look at the history of Cowboys football. Les Miles lifted it to a certain extent in the mid-2000s. Mike Gundy took over and has done a really solid, strong job. Not a remarkable job, because in 2011, when they almost ascended to the BCS championship game, it could be argued that they earned the spot opposite LSU in the championship game. It appeared for a couple seasons there when Oklahoma State was really knocking on the door of the elite that they would join the elite of college football, that they would be a perennial top 10 team, but that has not happened. I argued with a person the other day when I made the comment that Oklahoma State over the past decade has been an 8-4 program, and he argued with me saying that I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't have a clue. Do the research. If you look at the record under Mike Gundy in the last 10 years, it's almost exactly, percentage-wise, almost exactly 8-4. They're an 8-4 program. That's what they've done. 7-6 this past year with a bowl loss to Wisconsin, and a lot of defections, a lot of key defections, going to places like Ole Miss and USC during the offseason. Best linebacker, their starting quarterback, of course, going to various locales. So the transfer portal, not kind of Mike Gundy. There is some speculation as to why that could be the case. So that's not a good sign. The recruiting has not ever been great under Mike Gundy. You would think it would have improved with some of the resources that he had at Oklahoma State with Boone Pickens and so forth. But they win consistently, and now they've got a new Big 12 to contend with, minus Oklahoma and Texas and 4 incoming schools that they should be able to deal with successfully. Consistent winner, not an elite program, of course, came within inches of a college football playoff appearance last year. Our number 25 program in college football, OK State. Talk about a program that's historically been down in the dumps. It's all basketball. It's all Kentucky blue in the Bluegrass State. But now the Commonwealth can boast a solid football program under Mark Stoops. Okay, not coming off the best season at 7-6 this past year and a shutout loss in the bowl game. Mark Stoops still has just a barely over 500 record, 66-59 in Kentucky, but he's 40-23 since 2018. They are recruiting better because of Mark Stoops' approach. What Mark Stoops has done over the past several years, and he had to lift this program from a 2 or 3 win program that was recruiting in the 60s and 70s to a consistent top 25 recruiting class, 15 to 25 in the country. And he went north for many of his targets. He went to Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, to pull in some quality football players from there. Mark Stoops knows what he's doing. He's built this program on defense, offensive line, and running game. He's going to have a different sort of approach and attack this season with Devin Leary at quarterback, wide receivers to burn. Kentucky's our number 24 program. How could the worst offense in America produce a number 23 program ranking overall? It's astounding. It's an aberration. It's unlike any other place in America. It's Iowa under Kirk Ferentz. Hayden Fry, of course, had a tremendous run at Iowa and lifted the program to heights never experienced since the days of Niles Kinnick. All right, then you bring in Kirk Ferentz after Hayden Fry had kind of limped toward the finish line, and Ferentz lifted the program from 1-10 seasons to Big Ten championship ties in 2002, 2004, 3 consecutive top 10 finishes. At that point, Iowa football was a serious Big Ten contender. And then it kind of settled from there into an 8-4 program. That's what it's been for the last 20 years. Played for the Big Ten championship most recently in 2021, thanks to a weak Big Ten Western Division. What's going to happen to this program if they don't get going with the likes of USC and UCLA entering the league in a new division and scheduling format that is not going to gift a Western Division team into the Big Ten championship game? That is something to deal with. What about the offense? The Iowa offense, save the COVID year 2020, has not produced a top 75 offense in the country since 2006, 17 years ago. This is deplorable. It's horrible leadership by Kirk Ferentz, and I have tremendous respect for him overall. I once ranked him as one of the top 10 coaches in the country, but he has allowed this to persist. He's done nothing about it. He's put his son in charge of the offense. There have been places like Indiana and Rutgers that have made changes at the offensive coordinator position with offenses at lower profile programs, offenses that have performed 50 and 60 spots higher in the national rankings than Iowa. Iowa does nothing about it because Kirk Ferentz does nothing about it. That's the downside. The good side is obviously dominant defense, a developmental program that produces a top 10 NFL production volume and really good players in the NFL. So they take 3 stars and make them NFL players at Iowa, and they are winning to a certain extent. 34-14 since 2019. Again, no Big Ten championship since 2004. It's basically an offensive issue, a Brian Ferentz issue. That's the problem at Iowa. Otherwise, man, the defense and the special teams, elite. Our number 23 program in all of college football, Iowa. Bill Snyder is one of the greatest coaches in the history of college football. He is so underappreciated. It is horrendous. Bill Snyder, no, he does not have any national championships. That is overvalued, overrated, conditional. Bill Snyder, what he did at Kansas State, go back and look at Kansas State football records back in the 1960s and 70s and into the 80s before Bill Snyder took over in 1989. 1-10, 2-9, 0-11, over and over and over and over and over. We're talking deplorable, awful, bottom of the rung. Bill Snyder comes in, and this has been a national power ever since. At the very least, they have been a 7 or 8 game winner each and every season going to bowl games. And then Bill Snyder leaves. Ron Prince can't get it done. They go back down to mediocrity of 4 and 5 wins. Snyder comes back. Boom. I say that all to relive the past because it has set up Chris Kleiman to succeed at Kansas State. He's basically come in from South Dakota State and taken over the Bill Snyder model. And he continues to execute it. And of course, he won national championships in the FCS and did a remarkable job. Chris Kleiman's a tremendous coach who just received a contract extension. So Kansas State also has security in the program. They don't have to completely rely on the NIL and the big-time 5-star recruiting. They are the quintessential development program. They just won a Big 12 championship. It's our number 22 program in all of college football. K-State. We go to the opposite end of the spectrum versus the Kansas State example to go to Gainesville, Florida, because this is a program that plays in the SEC, even in down years recruits in the top 10 or 12 in the nation, has a storied history, recent history, much like its counterparts at Florida State and Miami. Once the 80s kicked in and Florida players started to stay home in the state of Florida, the Gators took off. Of course, have won 3 national championships, have been one of the best programs in the SEC overall. We saw what Steve Spurrier accomplished. We saw what Urban Meyer accomplished. And then it's not been able to find its way since then. Dan Mullen could not get out of his own way, but otherwise was winning 10 and 11 games and won 3 consecutive New Year's 6 bowl games. That wasn't that long ago. Florida can bounce back. Is Billy Napier the right guy? Well, he did a heck of a job, of course, to set himself up for this job at Louisiana. Can he do it at the Power 5 level? Of course, Georgia's the monster, but Georgia isn't necessarily in the path anymore once we go to a 12-team playoff in the year of 2024. This is a great football program, potentially right now, a dysfunctional football program that's being taken over by Billy Napier trying to fix Dan Mullen's issues off the field and in the locker room. That sort of issue right now, and an unbalanced roster, but still a lot of talent and a lot of talent acquisition. They still play in the best conference, and it's the number 21 program in all of college football, Gators. Yes, I know the 20th best program in college football in my rankings. Went 5-7 last year. Went 6-7 the previous year. Is working on a third head coach in the last 3 years. However, it's Auburn. When you're at Auburn, you can play for national championships. It's one of the few places in the country, after the elites, where it's been proven you can win a national championship. And now it's up to Hugh Freeze to come in, keep his nose clean, recruit, build back the program. He did a heck of a job at Liberty. We know that Auburn wants to win. They've got the resources. They last appeared in a national championship game just a decade ago with all the issues under Brian Harsin. And before that, Auburn can still jump up, just like they did in 2010 with Cam Newton, again, 2013, and be a major factor in the SEC. And again, for all these SEC teams, especially not named Alabama and Georgia, there is a 12-team playoff coming, and it could benefit greatly. A team like Auburn can still recruit with the best, top 10 to 15 in the nation. They want to win. They pack the stadium. They support. It's been shown over and over and over. Auburn is that program. Sonny Dykes is one of the best offensive minds in college football. He's a really nice guy. We've interviewed him several times right here at the Voice of College Football, and he did a bang-up job at TCU, of course, last year. That's obvious. Sonny Dykes before that, in one stint at a Power 5 at Cal, did not perform. Did a nice job at SMU and Louisiana Tech. It's going to be mighty intriguing to see whether Sonny Dykes can keep it up at TCU. This has been a really strong program in the line of course, Boise State as the front runner, the precursor to TCU lifting itself from the group of 5 and being a monster killer, a dragon slayer under Gary Patterson, who really should be given a ton of credit. He is the Bill Snyder of TCU football in setting up this program for success down the line. Of course, they won a Rose Bowl against Wisconsin and really showed themselves during that time period of 2005 for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. Could have made the playoff in 2014, that they were a force to be reckoned with. They play in a strong recruiting area, of course, in the state of Texas, but specifically in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the school is growing. They have a ton of resources for a small school. And again, Gary Patterson did wonders. Sonny Dykes caught lightning in a bottle. Don't expect it to happen to that degree again. A bit of an aberration going from 5-7 to a college football playoff appearance. But our number 19 program in college football, it's easy to defend. It's TCU. We stay in the state of Texas and go to another extreme here. There are extremes in Texas. They do everything big in Texas. Now they need to win big, Jimbo, at Texas A&M. All the resources, all the money, all the facilities, rabid fan base, love their team, pack the house. Underperformed, of course, huge, more than anybody in college football. In 2022, Texas A&M's run to 5-7 was disappointing, and that was with a win against LSU to close out the season. So that may be insignificant or seem to be, but realize a team that had underachieved to that degree, that had nothing to play for, was playing a team that was headed to Atlanta to still keep hopes alive for a college football playoff appearance, and they rose up in that final game. So they fought for Jimbo Fisher in that final game. Bobby Petrino comes in. Going to be interesting to see the dynamic between Fisher and Petrino as they try to work together. Yes, and consider they lost close. They were close. Yes, deplorable, awful, shouldn't have lost 7 games. None of that is acceptable, but they were close. They were not Miami 5-7. Texas A&M, of course, they've got the resources Jimbo needs to deliver, or as that buyout lessens and decreases, he could be shown the door very soon. 12-team playoff is another one that's going to be a benefit to this particular program. At number 18 on our list of best programs in college football, gig 'em. News alert, coaching is important in college football. Take a look at Washington. Under Ty Willingham, crash and burned. 0-12 at one point. Steve Sarkisian, decent. Chris Peterson, amazing. One of the best coaches in college football during his tenure. We would love to see him back coaching another program to see what he can do. Then something called Jimmy Lake debacle. Back to another competent, capable coach in Kalen DeBoer in Washington, back on top at 11-2, top 10 finish in 2023. This program has been up and down, up and down, up and down. We saw what Chris Peterson could do there in Seattle. It's a storied program. They have resources. They have the ability to do big things at Washington. And again, Kalen DeBoer, nice job, 11-2. Great quarterback coming back in Michael Penix. Washington, a top 10 type team in 2023. And our number 17 program in college football. There are certain programs out there that I admire from year to year, decade to decade, and Wisconsin is on that short list. Thanks to Barry Alvarez. What a job that he did back in the late 1980s, coming in from Notre Dame, taking over Wisconsin in the depths of the Big Ten, lifting them to prominence and relevance in the Big Ten, winning Rose Bowls, 3 Rose Bowls under Barry Alvarez, and the legacy continued after that. He not only determined and established strong leadership in the football program, but in the entire athletic department. And then he brought that model and he passed it down from coach to coach to coach to coach, and it continues. And the latest addition now is, of course, Luke Fickell, what I consider to be the best of the offseason coaching additions in college football. Luke Fickell did the job at Cincinnati, lifting a program in the group of 5 to a college football playoff appearance. And now we get the promise of an updated passing attack at Wisconsin, coming off a down season at 7-6, but Wisconsin will always bring the offensive line and the defense, developmental program like a Kansas State. Thanks to Barry Alvarez, Wisconsin wins like a top 15 program and has done so since 1993. Our number 16 program in all of college football, Badgers. Is Tennessee truly back? Josh Heupel, one of the storied programs in the history of the SEC, second or third to Bama and Georgia in the major categories of winning percentage and championships. Tennessee had a Tennessee-like season that we are used to, us older folks. Tennessee delivered with 11-2, top 5 finish in 2022, but they need to keep it going. The recruiting's been better on the defensive side of the ball. Now they need to produce and match the offense. Of course, a change at quarterback with Joe Milton taking over for the ultra-reliable Hendon Hooker. Tennessee in the Vols, our number 15 program in college football. What Chip Kelly delivered at Oregon was pretty astonishing. 33-3 in the Pac-12, 46-7. Competing with the elite in college football, almost winning a national championship. And then, of course, one was won right after Kelly left by Mark Helfrich when they went to the 2014 championship game. Oregon's a tremendous program. Of course, we know about the Nike backing and the uniforms and the brand they've established. And that's important because it's brought recruits to campus, because they don't have many football players up there in the Northwest. Dan Lanning taking over for Mario Cristobal, who did a nice job at Oregon. Not the best game planner in the world, but of course brought in the recruits. Dan Lanning doing a nice job on the recruiting path as well. Oregon coming off a 10-3 season. Bo Nix back at quarterback. Our number 14 program in college football, Ducks. While Oregon's been closer to winning national championships and has the brand behind it, we're going to give a nod to winning and consistency and Kyle Whittingham and what he has established at Utah. Pac-12 championships the last 2 seasons. Kyle Whittingham's 31-11 the last 3 full seasons. 154-74, and of course taking over for Urban Meyer and continuing to win year after year. The postseason record is phenomenal despite back-to-back Rose Bowl losses. The Utes, They stand tall as the lone independent, power independent in college football. Of course, we're going to South Bend and old Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman, the head coach, 9-4 in his first season. Disappointing to start. They closed strong with a Gator Bowl win and some other impressive wins, including Clemson. We know Notre Dame has been a top 10 program under Brian Kelly, but cannot knock down the door of elite status. The recruiting is near elite under Marcus Freeman. Sam Hartman's at quarterback. That will be interesting to watch. Our number 12 program in college football, wake up the echoes. We asked this same question of Tennessee. Florida State's on the comeback, but are the Noles truly back? Not exactly vintage in 2022, but 10-3 sure look good after the debacle of Jimbo Fisher's conclusion and Willie Taggart's stay in Tallahassee. It has been awful. It's been sub 500, struggling to get to bowl games and usually not even getting that accomplished. A far cry from vintage Bobby Bowden. Florida State strung together the most astonishing, consistent winning football in the history of college football. 14 consecutive top 5 finishes. Are they back to that degree? Well, Jordan Travis is back, and they brought back a host of future NFL players that said, let's complete the mission, come back to Tallahassee, and get it done. Our number 11 program in college football, FSU. We now make our way into the top 10 college football programs for 2023. Right here at the Voice of College Football. Please like the video, share the videos out on social media, and subscribe. And a blue blood in Oklahoma. They did not play like a top 10 team in 2022. They didn't play like a top 50 team. They were awful in Brent Venables' first edition. Is he a big-time college football head coach? We don't know. He's recruiting like one, top 5 class last season. They lost a lot of one-score games. They should be better this season. The schedule sets up favorably for Oklahoma. They will be moving into the SEC in 2024, so that should boost recruiting and boost their motivation and focus to get things done. But it's also going to be a daunting schedule for Oklahoma. They have to step up. This is a huge year for this program. And again, they've been a blue blood. Under Bob Stoops, under Lincoln Riley, they've taken a step back. But is the overall plan and vision long-term going to be solid under Brent Venables? We shall see. Our number 10 program in college football for 2023, OU. Horns down for a long time. Wow, 2009 was eons ago, and Texas has basically done nothing since. Is Texas back? No, not yet. They're the best team on paper in the Big 12, and it would be great for Texas faithful if the Horns could produce a Big 12 championship on their way to the SEC. Steve Sarkisian, is he the answer? Not so far. 8-5 following 5-7 equals 13-12, and that pretty much to me looks like Charlie Strong. Even Tom Herman did better than that. Well, it's only 2 seasons in the books, and again, on paper, this is the best team in the Big 12. This is Sark's best team at Texas, and this is the best Texas team we've seen in quite some time. They had that one blip on the radar of playing in the Big 12 championship game under Herman in 18, winning the Sugar Bowl, but it didn't last. The most disappointing program in college football over the last 15 seasons. They're a top 10 program, no question. But in the here and now, let's get it done, Texas. You've got all the money, all the resources, and no excuses. The number 9 program in college football, hook 'em. At number 8, we go to Penn State, and James Franklin said it about 5 years ago now after another excruciating loss to Ohio State. They're elite. We're just great. We want to be elite. Penn State has yet to achieve that. They've got the opportunity, we believe, in 2023. James Franklin has done a nice job. Another New Year's 6 bowl win. James Franklin has won 3 New Year's 6 games. He's racked up 10 and 11 win seasons despite that down period in 2020 and 21. They bounced back with a Rose Bowl win, but they can't win the consequential games against Ohio State, and now Michigan is in the way. The new Big Ten and the new 12-team playoff will be especially kind to this program. I don't know that there's a program that is going to benefit more from the 12-team playoff than Penn State, even if they can't get Ohio State and Michigan out of the way. But that's the goal, that's the aim, that's the mission. 78-36 under James Franklin, coming off 11-2, the Rose Bowl champs. We are Penn State. I remind Ohio State and Michigan fans who are just salivating at the likes of USC trying to play big boy football in the Big Ten and muscle up against those two programs in particular. Be careful what you ask for. USC at its best is as good as anyone. They are trending that way under Lincoln Riley. Now Lincoln Riley needs to prove to us that he can find a defense. He can find a coordinator who can coach the defense. He can recruit elite status on that side of the football. That has yet to be proven. It was not proven at Oklahoma, where he had bad defenses and at the very best, mediocre defenses. Awful defense at USC in Lincoln Riley's first season. But let's give him a pass. Let's give him some time. Of course, the offense is amazing. He is a quarterback whisperer above all else. And USC is moving to the Big Ten. The brand is back. They've got a legitimate head coach. Now, will they reach the heights that they've reached in the past? It is going to be fascinating to watch. Our number 7 program in all of college football right now is USC. Is anyone laughing at Brian Kelly now? It was an unusual fit when we saw Brian Kelly go down to the bayou and try to speak the language. Yes, it made for good video and a good chuckle, but Brian Kelly marched his Bayou Bengals to the SEC championship game and 10 wins in his first season, and he is building a roster at LSU of LSU standard. And this is a program that, of course, under its last 3 head coaches, have won a national championship. You've got players like nowhere else in the country do they produce players per capita like the state of Louisiana. They produce NFL players despite a low population total in the state. It's a great program. You can win. That's been proven. Brian Kelly can win. Can he win big games against elite competition? That is the only question to be answered. Our number 6 program in college football in 2023, LSU. Is Clemson still elite? I get asked this question all the time. Dabo Swinney did a remarkable job taking over as wide receiver coach to head coach of a top 25 program. And he made it an elite program. You could argue from 2016 into 2019 that this was the program in college football. And certainly from 2015 up until 2020, it was one of the 2 or 3 best. However, has it slipped? On the field, no question. The program has slipped. Is this just a down 2 years? Did they down cycle because of poor quarterback play? He went out and got Garrett Riley from TCU, and that shows that Dabo didn't just say, you know what, everything's fine here. We're doing well. We're still winning the ACC. Everything's good. We can work through this. No, he saw a need and he went after it. So a team last season that lost to Notre Dame by 3 touchdowns, not a really good Notre Dame team, got blasted by Tennessee, lost to South Carolina for the first time in forever. This is a big, big year for Clemson football. Are they going to stay on top of the ACC? Florida State looks primed and ready to take them down. Dabo at a crossroads here. I'm not thinking Clemson's going to implode or go away, but are they going to maintain their status with Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State? They haven't been able to do it the last 2 years, but Dabo has proven us wrong in the past. Will he prove us wrong in the future? Our number 5 program in college football with a lot to prove this season, Clemson. One play is sometimes the difference. And in this year's 2023 Voice of College Football program rankings, one play is the difference between not number 4 and number 3, the difference between number 4 and number 1. Ohio State is the best winning percentage in college football the last 50 years, the last 20 years, the most consistent winner out there. Had they won a national championship this past season, I would have to rank them as the best program in college football. And we all know what happened against Georgia. They played Georgia unlike anybody else. Toe-to-toe, 42-41, should have won the game. They didn't win the game. And because of the trajectory of the other programs, because of the questions that need to be answered, specifically against their rival, Ohio State's the number 4 program in college football until proven otherwise. Offensive line question marks. Kyle McCord, is he the answer? Do you believe in the system of Ryan Day? Do you believe in the talent around him? Or is Kyle McCord going to be the aberration? Is he going to be the Ohio State quarterback that's not one of the best in the nation for the first time in a long, long time? Is Jim Knowles the answer on the defensive side of the ball? He got things done at Oklahoma State, but it took him a while. But he's got better players and more talent at Ohio State. This roster is loaded with talent. This program is primed and ready to win, but there are serious question marks. And again, one kick away from winning the national championship. Sorry, TCU, you would have gotten blown out in the title game. Our number 4 program in college football, go Bucks. I wrestled with this one because all logic points to this program being number 3 ahead of Ohio State. However, I truly believe that Ohio State has a better roster and has shown year after year after year after year, Urban Meyer, Ryan Day, even if you want to go back to Jim Tressel, to be a much better program. Michigan's done it twice, though. They backed it up. In no way, after one season of Michigan winning against the Buckeyes and winning the Big Ten championship, would I elevate Michigan over Ohio State. But they backed it up with another dominant fourth quarter, and therefore we have to go with the results. And the results say at number 3 is Michigan. Jim Harbaugh stayed, and he rebuilt, and he went back to his old formula, run the football, play action pass, punch him in the mouth, rebuild the coaching staff, get some new ideas, get some help from the NFL level, and it's worked, except in the postseason. So Michigan win in the postseason, and you'll keep your number 3 spot. In a 12-team playoff, this could be rather interesting to see how all these conferences play out, but specifically in the SEC and the Big Ten, where we will see second and third place teams advance further in the playoffs and possibly win national championships in the future. But for now, the number 3 program in all of college football, Michigan. I have no doubt these are the 2 premier programs in college football until proven otherwise by most likely Michigan or Ohio State. They've got the best opportunity to do so. But for right now, the talent is enormous. And based on the winning on the field, most recently by our number 1 program, of course, but it hasn't been too long since Alabama was just 4 minutes away from winning a second consecutive national championship in 2021. So despite the disappointments of 2022 they lost 2 games, and they lost on the last play of the game to 2 excellent teams, Tennessee and LSU, on the road. So let's understand how far Alabama slipped. That much. Now, the question is, will they slip even further here in 23 without a premium quarterback? For the first time in a long time, this could be a decline of epic proportions at the position for Alabama with either Jalen Milroe or Tyler Buckner. That's the key question this season. Otherwise, they've stacked the talent. I believe in Nick Saban, of course. How can you doubt the man? He's the greatest of all time. The number 2 program in college football is Bama. This is pretty much the end of the video. I give justification to the other rankings, of course, as we worked our way all the way from 133 all the way to the top. Please check out the previous videos. And we're going to go live with all of you to discuss these rankings. So I'm going to let this video stand for a couple days. We're going to go live, take all your comments and questions, and take calls to debate and discuss our ranking system. Number 1's Georgia. I shouldn't even have to say anything. Back-to-back national championships. The recruiting's insane. They're rolling. They're the best team. They're the best program. They're the best everything right now. But they came within 1 kick of not being that. But it didn't happen. So Georgia's number 1. No debate. No questions. There it is. Comments down below. You have locked it in at the best place for college football discussion, debate, and analysis right here at the Voice of College Football.